Alright, hi everyone, I'm Tess. I'm going to do 3 poems for you. A couple of older ones and one that I wrote for the open mic the other night, so some of you might have heard it, but hopefully not enough of you that it will be very boring. So the first one I'm going to do is about an artist who I really like, who's a woman called Anna Mendieta. So it's about her and her husband, Carl Andre, and it's called Blood Signs and Body Tracks. You always said you had a devil inside, that it squirmed a sticky mess of blood and bone, that it was waiting to come out, that it chanted loudly, and at night you could hear it in the intake of breaths. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. You searched to find its release into the white rooms of galleries and the shape of liberation and the freedom of your body as a form of expression. You're a woman, covered in cold blue ice, laying by the waterline waiting to be washed away, or for your curves to slowly melt back into the sand and the sea, or grainy colour Super 8 footage of a marble white figure floating near the breaking water, being swallowed by the tide you were sinking, slowly to your knees in a gallery dressed in white to match the walls, whilst your hands left blood-red streaks, marking the path to where you eventually knelt. You were the person curved, naked and exposed in long grass next to a curled up skeleton, and you may have appeared weak then, but you were strong when carved in stone. Strong enough to be the woman inside her own apartment who stood tied to a table with her bare back half showing blood smears on her thighs in harsh lighting, who had let an audience come to view her there so we wouldn't forget the less fortunate. You taught us how to be powerful when you showed us your vulnerability, whereas he was bricks in a white room piled like a low wall which somehow kept out everyone. He was concrete poetry which created a tumbleweed or zigzag or paper slash of words. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. And 2 gunmetal grey sheets shaped like a cross which he called his personal structure, and you loved him, but always felt he was comprised of too many hard lines and sharp corners, and you loved him like the chessboard he once made, which, when you played, standing face to face in opposite spaces, he started on the steel squares, and when you stayed still for too long, the ones you stood on soon took the mould of your footprints. You should have moved quicker, but you loved him. He felt that you were at your most beautiful when viewed from behind sheets of glass which contorted your body because those sheets kept you in place. Your breasts deformed his personal structure, and you loved him. He was a large coiled spring waiting with the potential energy of a hurricane, with jagged edges and rectangle blocks of cold blue concrete that he said were to lament the children in an impersonal space. Did he lament you when he watched your body smash into the all-night shop behind which were rectangles of adverts for face creams and Coca-Cola, a modern mosaic of red, orange and blue flashing lights, when you lay there stretched out on a canopy having fallen 33 floors down from where you should have been, your body sunk, bleeding, a deep red silhouette? Did he lament you then? You'd almost preempted it when you dug holes in the mud shaped like a woman with splattered blood red around where her stomach should have lain. They blamed him and acquitted him, ignored the scratches on his body and his face and discrepancy between his stories, the time it takes to call 911 and the time it takes to formulate a proper response to police questioning make for some very different listening. But he was one man's word, all chessboard moves and low brick walls they couldn't penetrate. They could not find him in the blood signs and body tracks which once made up your person, because he was the devil inside of you, though you did not know it, and you loved him. And now you can only burn in photographs of the female form, and you loved him, whilst he still builds bricks into low walls, and you loved him. But under the concrete you've dug the shape of your body into the foundations which whisper, I'm not willing, and you loved him. 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 I'm not willing, but you loved him. Alright, so this one isn't finished still. It wasn't finished at the open mic, and it probably won't ever be finished now, because that's how I roll, damn it. And when I read it through today, I realised that I'm not really sure what I'm talking about in some of this, so that's good for all of you guys. That'll work well. But it's called 3 a.m. Insomnia. In the small hours, she watches the neon green of her clock forming slow seconds seconds, and in the half-light the wallpaper seems to twist in front of her eyes, forming whole worlds of dirt and rust, constructed concrete structures stretching taller than her eye can see, and that neon clock light directs her to the mouth of the monster. And most of the time it slumbers peacefully beneath her bed, but the night can be a fearsome thing when in every shadow lurks the corners of your mind, and she can find herself lost for hours in fear as she listens to the darkness which tells her all her terrible truths until she is there, under the moonlight, whilst the concrete pulses a monster's breath on her neck, and she cries mercy to the galaxies above her, and their answer comes down in waves and it echoes endlessly inside her bones. You are lost. And she tries to remember that underneath her clothes are just layers of skin and muscle and tissue and tendon, and that this thing, this creature who will bring down such misery upon her, is constructed just like her, and that they are head and tail of the same beast, and that the clashing teeth and ravaged face once held a child's features, and that inside the desperate roar of adulthood lay something gentle and broken. And she thinks of this now in the moonlight at 3 a.m. as the wallpaper builds prison cells around her, while she still screams mercy to the sky, when she wants to free the night of its savagery, when she clutches the hammer by her bed tightly, when she listens to the beat of the floorboards beneath her to feel the changing vibrations of someone else's feet, and in the dark she is drunk on fear and hears only the rapid beating of her heart, and it may have been years, but in the moonlight at 3 a.m. she is back there again, and she still knows the words the galaxy spoke to her, and they still resonate inside of her, and in the morning it will be gone, but for now, in the early hours, the monster will live on. My last one I wrote an intro to, which I'm now... No, screw it, I am going to do. Yeah. So it's The Archivist. I did it at the Poetry Slam recently. Well, recently-ish. And the intro, I just wrote on a whim and thought it might fit. And it goes like this. When asked who she is, she will say that she is anyone. She will say that she is no one. She will never say that she is someone. She has razors on skin, sharp lines cut with the tip of a rusty knife marking red tracks down her leg. She is the person they prescribe the medication to. She is the person they try to numb. She is the person they put their problems upon. She is the person they trust. She is the person who gives but never receives. She is grit and steel and sacrifice. She is 9 lives worth of suffering. She is everyone who never bothered to listen to anything she was trying to say. She is her father with his dirty hands and mouth and She is the person they forget when Christmas cards are sent. She is the person they forget when condolences are sent. She is the person they forget to ask about. She is the person they forget to reassure that it's okay. She is the person that they forget. And when they got to her, they said that she looked like a patchwork of coloured pieces, that she had lain like a broken bird caged in bricks, and Artek's arms a blue and red mess of broken feathers. They said she was a miracle of breakage and reformation, that her bones had weakened but healed, deformed her skin, a fragile covering her organs big and bruised, overripe purple plums already rotting from the inside, swollen from the knuckles she wore like face paint. She was already dead when they got to her, one arm twisted behind her head, her neck, a delicate bone china crushed under his weight, and they said that she was one of 2 women a week who'd be killed this way, and that it was a tragedy, that no one had seen it sooner, seen the yellow fading bruises around her wrists where he'd belted her to the bed, seen the purpling insides of her thighs like tenderized meat, seen the unwashed hair and the vacancy of her staring eyes or her bleach-burned skin where she tried to cleanse herself of him, seen the signs that someone's life was becoming defined in the violence and the suffering that they're trying to hide, and that she was breaking. You know, she catalogued it, they told us later. Hidden carefully under the floorboards, they found a morbid mass of photographs showing cuts and burns and broken bones, a washed-out corpse wearing pale flesh tones, a symphony of suffering that was singing beneath her clothes, a cacophony of collected screams and written diary entries, fragmented dreams and postcards of places she'd never been, and origami figurines of birds with iridescent outstretched wings, and attached to their thin paper forms were invisible strings so that one day they might fly. And she was in the body of you and she was in our freedom to choose and the choices we make. She was there in every road that we choose to take, through every mistake and all of the beauty, all of the hope and the glory of all of the boredom and fears and years of solitude or comfort or warmth or the cold of all of the suffering and misery, of all of the lies we have told, of all of the times that we felt like we might explode from the weight or lightness of fire, of living, from everything that we've been giving just to breathe. She was beneath every layer of ourselves that we tried to contain. She was in the rambling ley lines lines which make up our veins. She was in the chains we strive to throw from our hunched spines. She was in the plans we once made to survive. She lived through all of us, a whole world in her eyes. She was once so painfully, excruciatingly alive that she felt every second that passed her by. And under the floorboards she kept her heart beating fierce and whole, and everything else, all the dignity he thought he stole from her, was nothing but a hollow lie, because in death she's unfolded her paper wings, and it is in death that she is free to fly.